Okay, I'm live on YouTube and Facebook. There we go. Okay, hello. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. Oh, I've had a busy day today. Busy, busy, busy. This is my relaxation. It's these lives. Okay. Okay, so we're just waiting for everyone to turn up. I've just been coaching all day, and now this live is, I'm going to answer emails after this live, and then I'm done for the day. I might go out and enjoy the sun. We've got sun here in Vancouver right now. Okay. Alrighty. How many people have I got? Facebook is a slow entry. People come in slowly with Facebook. Okay, I just want to thank you guys for your support. I hit 200,000 followers on Facebook today. It's my smallest social media platform, but 200,000, wow. I didn't think Facebook was I didn't know much about it. My daughter does all that. But yeah, Facebook's just been unbelievable. So I really appreciate that. Okay. So let's get going with your questions. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, of which I have 4: tantrums, potty training, bedtime battles, and toddlers who hit. Then you can go into my big course, which is 5 weeks, how to get respect if you have a 3 to a 12-year-old, and it's all about you. Everything's focused on you. I teach parenting here. I don't teach kidding or teenagering. Or you can look into coaching. I have a wait list for coaching, but you can look into that and sign up for that if you're interested. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. Someone said Abiba. I hope I said that right. Anyway, this is on YouTube. I'm not a parent yet, but I'm learning a lot from your videos. Better to get all educated up before you even have kids. It helps. Not what you do when you got a baby. Babies are just meeting their needs and meeting their wants, right? But yeah, stuff really starts to kick in 10 months to a year. You're starting to go, no, but just letting them know. You never want to say no to a baby that makes them cry. You just want them to go, look at you funny. And they're not going to learn the first 10 times or 20 or whatever, but you're just sort of starting to teach them that there's certain things that they shouldn't do. Okay, so parenting questions, that's what I'm here for. Just whenever you want to ask. I've had a busy day today. Just waiting for your questions. I'll just sit here. Okay. Hey, how can we foster sibling relationships? You play with them together. You don't play with them one-on-one. So you don't have that one-on-one time with each child. It actually can build resentment. Even though it's fair, you spend 30 minutes with one, 30 minutes with the other. They don't care. You spend 30 minutes with them, then they see you playing with the other, they tend to get resentment. So the best way to foster a healthy relationship with kids is to play games with them all of them together. And then they learn how to play together. Usually it's always games in their world, games that they're good at, and you play to the weakest link. So play something that the littlest one can be good at too. Just silly games like hopping on one foot, dancing to a TikTok video, something just fun and silly, not competitive. And usually they bond over laughing at you, parents trying to do these things. I tried to do a TikTok video all by myself the other day. Didn't go well. It was that Beyonce country song. Yeah. I looked like I was having a seizure or something. It wasn't good. I can't dance. Okay, let's get into, I'm just waiting for your questions. Just waiting. Okay, this is from Ivan. Do you think most of your techniques are applicable to kids suffering autism or ADHD? Autism, not necessarily, but a lot of it does work with children with autism. ADHD, that's where I learned all this. Okay, it was the more challenging kids who couldn't sit still. That's where I learned all this stuff. Struggling with a 10-year-old boy, he struggles with communication. Yeah, okay, so if it's autism, that's more coaching. You'd have to look into coaching because that's one-on-one. I have to assess the situation, figure out what has and hasn't worked in the past, and then we just throw mud at the wall and see what works. With autism, it's just different, right? Okay. Okay, this is from Paulina. Oh, that's a pretty name. I have a 21-month-old girl and a newborn. My eldest started to pretend to get hit and cry to get attention. Should I ignore like a tantrum? Yeah, I would. I might divert. If she hits and cries, go, oh, look at this book over here. So you are ignoring the behavior, but you're redirecting her because it's just a ploy to get attention because the babies tend to get all the attention or a lot of it. This might seem silly, but do you have dogs? If yes, do you find that you can treat them a lot different than your kids? Okay. This is the first time in my life I haven't had a pet. My last dog died 2 years this Halloween. He was very old. And I chose not to have any pets anymore. I've got grandchildren now, and I want to be able to have freedom now. For the first time in my whole life, I haven't had any pets. I don't have any pets. It's really weird. 63 years old, and I've never not had pets. So anyway, very different. I'm very good with kids and teenagers. I find them easy. Dogs and that, they walk all over me. I'm lousy at it. I just give them whatever they want. Like my old dog, every time I was in the kitchen, he would come over and scratch my leg because he knew I'd give him something. So, and he was a very docile, easygoing dog, but with me, he knew he could get whatever he wanted. So yeah, it does not apply. It doesn't cross over. I'm useless with animals. I just spoil them rotten. My 2-year-old has picked up spitting and I don't know how to get her to stop. I try to tell her no. Oh, don't say that's not nice. She doesn't care. Okay, so you got a 2-year-old who started spitting. You just say no, and you might take a toy away or you might get up and walk away. Clean it up first, though. Like if she spit on the floor, just say no, and you wipe it up and then get up and walk away. And she won't spit if you're not there usually. It's to get attention. So let her know that she's not going to get any attention at all. There's different things you can do, but that's my go-to. Oh, there's only 20 people in here. What a slow one. Wow. Why would that be? And I've got 8 people in YouTube. YouTube's not a social media. It's a search engine. It's part of Google, right? So it's a bit of a beast trying to figure out how to get on Google. Although I've got 11,000 followers now on YouTube, but I just hit on Facebook. I just hit 200,000 followers today. So thanks so much for your support. It doesn't go unappreciated. I really do appreciate it. You're taking time out of your day to watch what I'm saying. And I hope I'm helping. You know, I always say I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to get you to like your kids and your kids to like you. I want you to have fun with your kids. I want you to enjoy parenting. So that's why I'm here. I love what I do. I've just started following you and started trying to apply your methods with my 5-year-old who has tantrums since birth, but it feels like I'm struggling with coming up with punishments for her when she hits someone or something like that. Advice: during tantrum, she will call me name. Okay, anything they do during a tantrum, generally you ignore, but she's 5 years old. Yeah, they usually stop having tantrums at 3.5 to 4 years old. Past that age, yeah, you got to work on your leadership skills. You might want to check out my boot camp course. Okay, that's all about you and your leadership. If she's having tantrums now, it's a bit of a tell. It means she doesn't respect you. She doesn't feel controlled in any way. So yeah, punishments if she hitting. Okay, if she hits during a tantrum, you never talk about a tantrum, but she's 5 years old. So if she hits during a tantrum, after the tantrum, you can say, look, you hit me. That's on the behavior board, no hitting. So here's the consequence. You never discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. There's no point whatsoever. None. Zilch. A tantrum is a loss of emotional control at not getting their own way. You do not need to validate that. Yeah, she's calling you names during a tantrum to get your attention, so you just ignore it. You completely ignore tantrums. But if they hit you during a tantrum, you physically restrain them. And then you would say later on, by the way, you hit me when you were upset. So here's I know you say constant corrective action for younger than 2 or younger than 3 it is, but my 2 older will hit me, think it's funny. Most of the time I just leave the room when he starts hitting me, but it doesn't seem to be working. What do you suggest? Well, I don't know how old they are. If they're 3 and over, you put down no hitting on the behavior board and there's a consequence. If they hit you and they're under 3, you take them away from fun or fun away from them temporarily. So make sure you do something that hurts them, like you take fun away or take them away from the fun. Yeah, right. You got to be quick. If they're under 3, it's consistent corrective actions. So, but they'll learn the 50th time, not the 5th. Okay, you got to keep doing it. Can't believe I said that. The 5th. It was hard to say. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Been doing the behavior chart, so the behavior board, for about 3 weeks. My 12-year-old has Amped up calling me names. Yeah, it usually gets worse before it gets better, especially as they get older. I make him do a chore or good deed for me. It's quite the roller coaster. Any tips? Keep at it. That's all it is. So you're on 3 behavior boards now. You do a new one each week, and you only go up to 3. So yeah. And if it's not working, he is 12 years old. You might want to look at the course. There's a lot behind it. That free behavior board's great if you're just dealing with easy stuff. But when you get into the harder stuff, you might need the course. And if it's really hard stuff, that would be one-on-one coaching with me. I have a wait list for that if you're interested. Okay, just because I'm busy. I do a lot of work with teenagers too. And teenagers are my favorite age. And I always say teenagers, they're not difficult. It's just that parents don't know how to transition into the teen years. I'm going to read my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. So even if you have younger children, you'll need this eventually anyway. Okay, these are my top 3 tips for parenting teens. Number 1, you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. By the way, they already know it. Number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything. It's not a blanket statement, but do it with as much as you can. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Negotiate. Number 3 is with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. If they do something stupid, just say, and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? And then laugh it off. Okay, it's okay to make mistakes. You want to let them know that it's okay to make mistakes so long as you are accountable for them and make any corrections if you have to. Okay? We all make mistakes. No one's perfect. It's funny because parents often expect more from their kids than they do from themselves. It's quite interesting. And they're just kids. You know, you're not perfect. Parents often yell and then they get mad when their kids act out. And I'm like, well, you yell. So why are you mad at your kids? You see what I mean? You got to watch yourself. They're watching you. They're learning from example. So the first 7 years, I just heard this recently. The first 7 years is when they develop their personality. They're who they are, a sense of who they are. And it's not done through listening to you. It's done through observing you. They're just observing. They're watching you. That's where they learn. Their whole personality is learned from observing you. So if you're not accountable, they're not going to be accountable. Awesome. Yeah, I'm just hoping my yelling tendencies with my dogs won't cross over to my incoming baby. I've been binge watching your videos. Such an amazing, oh, thank you. I want to really do things differently than the rest of my family. Lots of cycles to break. Yeah, you're not your parents, okay? And by the way, every parent does the best they know how. Not the best they can, but the best they know how. No one's handed a baby in the hospital and says, I'm going to mess you up. They just did the best they could. You can break the cycle. You're not your parents, okay? I was never yelled at. I never yelled at my kids. Yelling is just something that you do because you don't know what else to do. And it works in the moment, but it backfires down the road, okay? I remember once talking about yelling. I'm not a yeller at all, but I had this dog. She was we were just crazy about her. And she was a Maltese. She was a rescue. All my dogs are rescues. And she was very damaged emotionally, but she did not listen to me at all. And she was up the back late at night. I let her out in the yard. She was up the back end of the fence, barking and barking. Well, we used to have bears that would go past the fence. So she was probably barking at a bear. Anyway, and I was yelling at her to come in. She would not come in at all. Anyway, she just completely ignored me. It's late at night and trying, to get this yapping dog in. Anyway, a really loud truck went by. It was a road behind us sort of, and it scared the bejeebies out of her. She took off like a bullet running towards me. It was all I could do not to slam that door right in her face. I've been yelling at her for like 10 minutes trying to get her in, and I was too scared to go out and get her because in case there was a bear around. But yeah, I let her in, but I just wanted to slam that door in her face. So yeah, we all have a temper. I did let her in. But yeah, I never yelled at kids, but I yelled at her that night. Didn't work. She didn't come in anyway. Any advice on how to have your toddler leave a fun place like a park or playground? Okay, yeah, that's really normal that they don't want to leave. Makes sense. Toddlers don't understand what they should do. They just understand what they want to do. And not even understanding. Toddlers do not live by understanding things. They live by impulse control. I'm having fun. I want to keep having it. Even though they know you have to go and have dinner, they understand that. They still don't care. Okay, but what you can do maybe to help and by the way, it probably isn't going to work, but I'll just tell you this now, is to give them a bit of a warning. We're going to be leaving in a couple of minutes. Okay, I'm getting your jacket ready. And they are not listening anyway, usually, but it can kind of help. It might get their brains started in that direction. And it's called the transition time. A lot of toddlers don't do well with transitions. That means leaving something fun to go to something else. Even if it's something fun they're going to, they still don't like to leave the fun. So here's the thing. When you say, okay, time to go now, you got to pick them up and go. And they'll eventually learn that when you say we're going, you're going. So they're going to stop fighting you. But it's going to take a long time. You know, they're not going to learn the first time. So I remember lots of times picking my son up. He had tantrums. My daughter didn't. They're either born to have them or they're not. So I remember lots of times I had to pick him up kicking and screaming. And I put him in the car, clipped him in, drove off, never said a word. And he calmed down. And eventually he stopped having tantrums because he realized they were never going to work. Oh, the joys of dogs. Yeah, that dog, I'll tell you. God, she was spoiled. And one time I was the only one who could pick her up. She would literally bite the kids if they tried to pick her up because she was used to being abused by children in her previous home, evidently. Anyway, so she was in my son's bed and he was a teenager and he went to get in bed and she growled at him. It was her bed, she decided. So he went and slept on the couch. Oh, she was spoiled. But we just adored her. She had personality. She was also delicate at the same time because she'd been abused. Anyway, crazy dog. Yeah, I don't know anything about dogs. Okay. I look back on that. How dumb was I? Well, I guess not. She got a cancer in her jaw. So I spent $3,000 to have the tumor removed. And they said, you might get another couple of weeks out of her. I spent $3,000. I got 3 more weeks out of that dog. What was the point, really? I look back at that. I was just so desperate to hang on to her. Oh, stupid. Like it wasn't even a great 3 weeks. I don't know what I was doing. Okay. What do we do when 5-year-old refuses to do consequence? So we do the media blackout and then they break the rule again. Oh, okay. Well, this happens all the time. So let's say the rule is no hitting or no throwing stuff or whatever. So that it goes to media blackout. Look at the behavior board and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So you start with a positive action. If they won't do that, then that's the consequence. You know, do a chore. They won't do it. So you say, okay, fine. The media blackout, 24 hours starts now. During that 24 hours, they keep breaking that same rule that got them in trouble in the first place. You just say to them, maybe once or twice, that's why you've got media blackout. They're already learning their lesson because they've got media blackout. It is a bit of a free ticket to do whatever they want in that time. That's okay. They've still got no media. They are in the process of being punished for doing that. So just say, that's why you've got media blackout. They will eventually learn. They might do that a couple of times and then they'll eventually learn. How old? 5, I think you said. Yeah, 5. They usually pick up. They'll usually do that a couple of times and then they realize. Okay, Holly Smith. I've done a few of your courses and absolutely love them. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. This helps us tremendously. Oh, okay. You're very welcome. What courses did you do? My favorite course is, well, the boot camp course because it's so intensive. It's very similar to coaching, except coaching goes more off-road with, with whatever's going on. But I love the potty training course because it's a party. Thank you. We've been doing the behavior board for 3 weeks now. It's been great. Excellent. I just give you the advice. You're the ones who do it, right? So pat yourselves on the back. If you're getting good results, it means that you're the one putting in the work. You got to earn this. You got to work for this. I worked my butt off when I was working with kids and teenagers. I earned their respect. I worked for that. I never expected it to be handed to me. And believe me, with those delinquent teenagers, they didn't hand me nothing. I had to earn that respect. So yeah, you got to earn it. But once you've got it, easy street. Once you're there, you just maintain it. Getting respect is hard work. Maintaining it's a piece of cake. Okay, I've done all of them, just not the older kid one, like because our daughter is a toddler. Oh, excellent. Excellent. Good for you. You put in the work then. Good for you. Excellent. I don't have an overall toddler course. I don't know if I ever will. I've got my reasons for that, but I will have a teenage course one day. I'm busy. Okay. Hi, my 3rd baby turned 2 in April. Oh, okay. She's the youngest. She's out of control, not like my other 2 boys. Everything. Oh, usually it's the old. If people who have older kids and also have a toddler, just kind of accept the fact that toddlers are nuts. But you obviously have 2 easy toddlers. Okay. She's out of control, not like my other 2 boys. Everything I did with my boys does not work with her. You just had 2 easy ones. Now you've got a challenging one. That's all. What do you do for a 2-year-old who does not care about any type of consequence and thinks it's funny when she's told no? Okay, just use consistent corrective actions. That's all you can do right in the moment. She'll eventually learn. Okay, it's just a slow burn. I'm assuming she gets away with a lot because she's got 2 older brothers too. They probably sort of cater to her a little bit. Am I wrong? Potentially that could happen. But yeah, just use consistent corrective actions. Pick your battles. Pick something that you want to correct and really go in hard with that one thing, and that you never miss it. Like every single time she does it, you have a consistent corrective action. She'll start to learn that you're in charge. Takes time though. So the boys do give in. Is that what you're saying yes to? That they cater to her a little bit? Yeah, that makes sense. I knew someone who had, I think, 5 or 6 boys, and then they had a little girl. Was she spoiled? Oh yeah. Was she a handful? Yep. She's also a runner. Yeah, there's 4 things that kids are either born to do or they're never going to do. They're just born to do them. One is running, one is climbing, and often they go together because they have no fear. They don't look behind, they don't look down. They just go, right? So runners and climbers are often, not always, but they're often synonymous. The other one is, tantrums. And the last one is, sugar. What is it? Oh, hitting. So they're either going to hit or they're never going to hit. Okay, it's just they're just born to do it. You can get them out of these things, but it takes a while. Yeah, she gets away with more because I'm doing a ton of other things with the boys. Yeah, she just has a different mindset. The little girl came after 2 boys, maybe a little bit spoiled, right? The boys are catering to her. Yeah, it'll pass. It'll pass. Oh, if she's a runner, though, you put her on a leash. Put a harness on her before you go out, or one of those armbands that she can't take off, and just clip her in if she runs. And you say, no running, clip her in, and you have to keep her clipped in for the rest of that outing. So I suggest that you make up a few outings that don't matter. Like, don't go somewhere you have to go and do this where she's just going to have a fit. And she will. She'll have a fit. You got to be willing to go through the storms to get to the rainbow. They're going to have a fit when you start taking charge with stuff like this. And that's okay. They'll eventually learn, hey, wait a minute, maybe you're in charge and I'm not. Okay, so yeah, and they do learn. Actually, that's one they learn really quickly with. There's 2 of them like that. One of them is runners. When you clip them in, if they run, they learn not to run pretty quickly. The other one is if they bang their head when they get mad, you put a foam helmet on them. Pretty quickly, they hate that thing, and pretty quickly they stop banging their heads. Those are 2 things. There's a couple more, but they're not worth mentioning. Oh, there's only 22 people here. What's going on in Facebook today? That is very unusual. I've only got 22 people in there. Maybe it's just a really sunny day. I hit 200,000 followers in Facebook today. So thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate that. Did not expect that from Facebook. I don't know why. I thought I blew up on TikTok. TikTok's a different kind of a thing, but I didn't think Facebook would be that like that. But anyway, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. My daughter does all my social media. One of my clients said the other, and my client, because she does all my social media, all my videos, all my business planning. She does all that. She's really good at business, and I hate all that stuff. And she does all my newsletters, everything, all that stuff. And I'm just in charge of the parenting stuff. Anyway, one of my clients said, what if she does something you don't like? And I said, well, I don't have a clue what she does. I don't have a clue. Our roles don't cross over at all. So we are a perfect partnership in business, and we get along. We're best friends anyway, but yeah. So I don't have a clue what she does. It's quite funny. Well, she used to send me stuff to check, and I said, I don't want to see it anymore. She's a lot better at that than I am. Okay. And it's funny because she used to check in because she's very, she thinks before she speaks. She's very, thinks things through. I don't. My brain and mouth have no relationship whatsoever. Everything flies out. Anyway, so she used to send me these videos, and I say a lot of stuff that's probably inappropriate. And I don't have a filter, right? And she goes, is this okay to post? Because she takes all my lives and turns them into videos. She goes, is this okay to post? I said, sweetie, if I've said it in a live, it can be posted. But she's horrified. She's used to it now, but she's been horrified by some of the stuff I've said. Yeah. She's so proper. She's classy. She's nothing like me. I have no filter. Yeah, if I've already said it, it's okay to post. Okay. Well, this is the smallest live I've had in a long time on Facebook. I wonder why that is. Maybe Facebook just chose not to throw it out there. Well, that's good. If you've got questions, then they'll get answered because there's not competition on here right now. I didn't get a notification that you were live, so that might be why more people are not on. Oh yeah, Facebook isn't pushing it out right now. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that's got to be it, because usually I've got like at least 100 or more people on here. So, oh, interesting. Okay. I've never seen a live, so I don't know how it's done. I do them, but I've never watched one. That explains it. Interesting. Why would Facebook not push this live out? They do. Usually. I can't figure that out. Okay, I'm going to read out, just to kill time between questions. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers, because most of you probably have little ones on here. That's most of the questions I get. I specialize in teenagers, but most of the questions I get in lives are about toddlers. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler. This is under the age of 3. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. You enter their world. That's the respect, right? Because I always teach you give respect to get it. Number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler, again, you enter their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. So you use consistent corrective actions. Every time they do something you're trying to correct, you've got to have a consistent corrective action. Okay, these mini therapy sessions discussing all the big feelings and big emotions, it's absolute crap. It's garbage. I don't know whoever invented that. Probably the same person who invented participation awards. One of the stupidest things I ever heard of. Anyway, oh, yeah, I guess I don't like it. Eh? Anyway, so yeah, they're not about the words, they're about actions. That's toddlers. So you always enter their world when you want them to understand what you're doing. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. I always say toddlers are crazy, but it's more that they just haven't developed sanity yet, right? They're not there yet. Their brains are just forming. By the age of 3, they develop the ability to stop and think before they act. Doesn't mean they're going to do it every time, but they can start learning how to do that. Under that age, they're more about impulse control. And that's why you use consistent corrective actions, because they'll learn through repetition. It's just like a knee-jerk learning kind of reaction. It's not that they're really thinking it through. It's just if you enough times you use the same consistent corrective action for that same bad behavior, they will eventually stop doing it. It takes a long time though. How to handle other people who think that your opinion is needed on who thinks that their opinion is needed on your toddler. Say, oh, okay, good idea. Sure, I'll do that right away. That's what I would say. Yep, sure, I'll get to that right away. Shut them down. Yeah, it's none of their business. I've never told a friend how to parent, and I've got a grandchild. I would never tell my kids how to parent. It's none of my business. It's their kid, right? Okay, you mentioned hitting. This is on YouTube. My 2-year-old hits my face, right? It tends to be when he is tired or I am trying to stop his fun, leave the park, etc. What would be a good corrective action? Okay, check out my Toddlers Who Hit course. That might be a good one for you. Goes into great detail, lots of different situations and what you do. But basically, you just grab that hand, you say no. Let it go. If he goes to hit again, you say no, and then you put him down and walk away. And he'll eventually learn. It'll take a while. And if he keeps hitting and you have to pick him up and carry him somewhere, turn him around so he's facing away from you and hold the back of his head so he can't headbutt you. So yeah, it's hard for them to hit. They can kick you a little bit, but it's hard for them to hit and headbutt when you're holding them like that. Just put them in the car. What kind of corrections, punishments would you use for a 5-year-old? That's consequences. You go on the behavior board, check that out, and it explains it. There's 2 consequences. So there's rules on the behavior board and consequences, okay? And the consequences for each rule, there's always 2. So there's 1 rule, 2 consequences. The first consequence is a positive action. So let's say you hit, you're not supposed to hit, that's the rule, no hitting. So they hit, the consequence is they have to do a chore within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. If they won't do that, then you resort to the second one, which is the negative deprivation. You take something away. It's usually 24-hour media blackout. So you don't do the first consequence, that's fine. You don't have to do it if you don't want. 24-hour media blackout starts now. Fine, I'll do it. Too late. 24-hour media blackout's already started. Once you say it started, it's happening. You got to come in hard with this stuff. When you're first learning how to do this, it's going to be difficult. They're going to fight you. Things usually get worse before they get better because you're shaking things up. You want to do that. Getting respect is hard work. Maintaining it's easy. It's worth it. This is short-term pain for long-term gain. Okay? Okay, doing your toddler sleep course. We are night 3 and still waking every hour and putting him back to bed. I don't know what's going on with that. That might be coaching. Yeah, you might have to check into that. I have a bedtime battles course. It goes from 2 to 8 years old, and it works with most parents. The odd time it doesn't, there's something else going on usually, because that's unusual. Toddler. It's a toddler waking up every hour. That's very unusual. Do you have sound machine? Do you have the galaxy lights? Do you, I don't know what's going on there. You might have to look into coaching if you want me to look into it. But yeah, it's just all my courses are sort of for the normal stuff. But if there's something else, it might be something little, but just something that you don't know what's going on. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to assess that situation. And I understand you might not need the full coaching and you might not want that. But what a lot of parents do is if they just have a couple of questions, they'll hire me for coaching. The first session's always an hour, and then they can just bank the rest of the sessions for when they need them. So it doesn't mean you have to go through all 5 sessions within 5 weeks. A lot of parents, they'll get what they need in the first 3 or 4 weeks, then we'll bank the last one for a year from now or whatever. Depends on what you're going through. Depends, right? So a lot of people have to buy 2 or 3 packages, especially if they have teenagers. Oh, sugar. I have to go. I'm going to Instagram now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I'm very busy. You have to go on a wait list for coaching, unfortunately. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And I'm heading over to Instagram, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. There we go. Yeah, Facebook didn't push my live out. They didn't. Weird. That's the first time that's ever happened. There was only 23 people in that live. Wow. Instagram and TikTok, I usually get about 1,000 over. They come and go. We get about 1,000, but I only get 23 on Facebook. Wow. Okay. Okay, so welcome to my live. I usually wait to get about 150 on here. Okay, there we go. Okay, my name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you're new here, you can check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. You have to go on a wait list for that because I'm all booked up usually. Anyway, so let's get going with your parenting questions. I'm just here answering questions. And I also throw some other stuff in because a lot of people always want to talk about discipline. Discipline is a tiny part of what I do. I teach more about leadership and connecting with your children, and you get them to want to please you because they look up to you like a mentor. Like they love being with you. You're someone that they look up to, they trust, they tell everything to. That's what this is all about. The discipline's a tiny part of it. But that's what parents struggle the most with. So that's why I get all those questions. But in coaching, it's mostly about connecting. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. You just did the behavior board. Good for you. Let me know how it goes. Okay, ignoring a tantrum when my child tries to pee on the carpet, can I physically move him or let it happen and clean the air? Yeah, I would move them onto the toilet if you think they're going to try and pee on the toilet and ignore them the whole time. So you move them into the bathroom and just ignore them like you're filing your nails, just waiting. But let them know. How old are they, though? My child, how old are they? And they obviously don't have a diaper on. Yeah. Oh, by the way, they'll do stuff like that. Kids are gross sometimes, right? They might go like this and smear poop on the wall, too. Okay. Age-appropriate chores for 5 and 3-year-old. Don't worry about it. It could just be washing one window, cleaning the toothpaste out of the bathroom sink, making a bed. Doesn't have to be done well. Put 10 toys away within 10 minutes. It's not about what the consequence is. It's about being consistent with it. And it's usually something that they don't like. Some parents say, well, my kids love doing chores. Yeah, they all love them until they're good at them. But there's usually something that they don't like. They don't usually like cleaning out a windowsill, stuff like that. They usually don't like emptying out the vacuum cleaner or something like that, or cleaning out your hairbrush. There's lots of things that you can find that they probably won't like. Okie dokie. Sorry, I have to scroll ahead to make sure people are still here when I answer. How can you tell? So this just came up yesterday with a client, or was it? I don't remember where. Anyway, how can you tell if a 2-year-old is just throwing a tantrum versus getting frustrated over trying to communicate? Kids don't care if they're understood, by the way. They could care less if you understand them or if they can't communicate. They only care if they get what they want. So a tantrum isn't, if they're having a tantrum, it's because they didn't get what they wanted. They're quite happy if you don't understand them, if they've got what they want. Think about it. 2-year-old does not care if they're understood. They only care if they get what they want. Right? So it's not about communication for them. If they're having a tantrum, they're just not getting their own way. So. Like there's this big fallacy out there that toddlers need to feel understood. It's garbage. They don't care. They just want to have fun, and they want to get their own way. They want to, you know what I mean? They just want what they want. They don't care if you understand them. Toddler keeps wanting to play after we had uninterrupted playtime, and I'm trying to get stuff done now. Okay, well, you're playing with them and you say, okay, as soon as that alarm goes off, I'm going to go do the dishes. It's sort of a trigger. They'll start to understand that. So say, I'm going to play for 10 minutes, and you play, and then the alarm goes, okay, I'm going to go do the dishes, and let them cry, let them have a scene, let them grab onto you. You just sort of peel them off you, and then just follow through with what you said you were going to do. Okay, they'll eventually learn. So if they keep wanting to play, what's wrong with that? Like they're allowed to keep wanting to play, but you don't have to give into it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're saying they keep wanting to play. So you're busy now. You're not going to play. You gotta get them to react to you instead of the other way around. Parents are too busy reacting to kids rather than getting them to react to you. When you're a leader, they react to you. There's a difference. Yeah. Okay, I don't let other people in my lives, by the way, because sometimes people ask to get, I don't let anyone else in. I only did it once, and they started talking about their business. Oh, I got rid of them so fast. And I was new at this, so I didn't know what I was doing. And so I was I didn't know how to get rid of them. Okay. Okay, 8-year-old punches walls, destroys rooms when mad. That's a bit of a tell. It means you're not a leader. Check out my boot camp course. You might want to look into that. Once you're a leader, that anger tends to take care of itself, because they don't tend to have anger outbursts when they've got a leader as a parent. They're more likely to come and talk to you because they trust the fact that you'll be able to help them through stuff. Yeah. So it could be a feeling of unjust, that there are injustices in their life. So yeah, anyway, check out the boot camp course. Might be a good fit for you. Hi, should I start training my 1-year-old to apologize? No. My 5-year-old will pee in the bathroom and go all night without a diaper, but has to go poo in the diaper and will cry or hold their poo if I take the diaper away anytime. 5-year-old, yeah, okay. Really common for kids not to want to poop on the toilet. There's 3 reasons for that, and I'll tell you what they are and how to fix it. So anyway, reason number 1 is when they're pooping in a diaper, it's all smashed in and warm. Okay, also it's not hanging. So, you know, that hanging feeling when they're sitting on a toilet, they sometimes don't like that feeling of tugging on their bum, right? Hanging. And also it's cold and the air circulating. And the third one is that they don't like the splashback. So they might've been splashed back. Often it's more often boys than girls because they got more equipment hanging around down there, right? So they get more to splash back at. But yeah, splashback, the hanging feeling, or the cold. So what you do is you hike up the heat in the bathroom, get a little porta potty and put a bunch of toilet paper in the bottom, and they can feel that toilet paper on their bum. So they're nice and warm. Now they've got that. And when they start to poop, it'll hit the bottom before the hanging starts. So it kind of takes away from the hanging feeling. Also, there's no water to splash back. And explain all this. Say, none of that will happen. Here's what we're going to do. So it won't happen overnight, because by 5, they've got that cemented that they just want to poop in a diaper. So it's going to be a difficult one. But that's what I suggest. It's a common problem. What's an example of showing your leader? I'll read out my top 3 leadership qualities. Number 1 is you be calm during the storms. What I mean by that, the storms are the discipline. When they're doing something naughty, you stay completely calm. It's like a business transaction. 0 emotions. Just Okay, didn't like that. Here's the consequence. Do you understand? And that's it. Okay, so calm during the storms. Number two, crazy during the rainbows, the happy times. You can be insane. I used to chase my kids around the house with underpants on my head. I was the panty monster. They'd run screaming. We did that all the time. So you'd be calm during the storms, crazy during the rainbows, in their world. It's all fun in their world. And the last one is be a great listener. Listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. No one wants to be lectured anyway. They just want to be able to talk and tell you what's going on. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. And if my kids did ask my advice, my mom never really told me what to do. But she used to say to me, oh, okay. She'd say, you're a smart girl. You can figure it out. So we'd talk about it. I always thought I was coming up with my own solutions and she was helping me along the way. So I never told my kids what to do. I'd just say, well, what do you think you should do? And we'd talk back and forth and I might have some ideas, but I always encourage them to problem solve on their own. That's part of leadership. You want to build them up to have high self-esteem and be problem solvers, right? Threatening, how to get out of the rut. I don't know what you mean. You're threatening? Just use a behavior board that takes that away. Check it out. Behavior board's completely free. It's in the link above and it's completely free. I've got lots of feedback from parents who all they have is the behavior board and they're getting results. If you've just got standard parenting challenges, that might be all you need. If you want to go to the next level, that would be the boot camp course. That's 5 weeks, how to get respect. And then the top one is coaching. You have to sign it. You have to get on a wait list for that because I'm booked up now. But yeah. The behavior board starts at 3. You can start it at 34, 35 months, but really 36 is a good age. 2.5 is too young. They're I don't know, is that frontal lobe or whatever? They need to be able to stop and think before they act in order for that behavior board to work. And they have to be able to understand that I did something, but maybe an hour or two later, there might be a consequence. Under that age, they need the consequence right in the moment. Everything's right in the moment with toddlers. Toddler to me is under 3. Okay. 3-year-old throws tantrums when she's tired, basically. Yeah, well, just ignore it. You always ignore a tantrum. Yeah, just ignore it. Let her have it. That's okay. Let her process this. Yeah. And by the way, they never throw a tantrum when they're all by themselves in a room. A tantrum is done for attention. Any attention is feeding it. So attention, if you give them any attention, that's eye contact or conversation or hugging, that's all a no-no because you're fertilizing that tantrum. You're giving them what they're after. You're validating it, saying good tantrum, good tantrum. And a lot of parents say, well, what if they need a hug during a tantrum? That's not a love hug. That's more validate this tantrum. Tell me this is good. So it's not a love hug. It's, and afterwards, if they're finished having the tantrum, I need a hug. I'd go, yeah, you're all right. And then I'd say, do you want to go to the park? Even then I don't go, oh, that's okay, my baby, because they've just had a tantrum. You're actually saying good tantrum. I feel so sorry for you. It comes across as pity, like poor them. You don't want to go there. Okay. Just say, you're all right. Okay. Do you want to go read a book or something? It's like that. It's kind of like that when they fall down, you don't know whether they're going to cry or not. It's better to say, okay, upsie daisy, you're all right, instead of saying, oh my gosh, look at my little angel. See, it's kind of like that. You don't want to pull them down the wrong road. My son was a real rose petal. He didn't like getting hurt or falling or anything. He was overly cautious, really. And I remember he just did something. It was nothing. He was just crawling along and his arm went under him or something. He landed on his shoulder. He was, I don't know, 8 months or something. Oh my God, it was like the biggest deal. My daughter was more of a bulldozer. She would climb over things and nothing but, and she was a super easygoing kid. He was more the one to have tantrums in that, but he was just a little rose petal. They're all different, right? Like what set him off, when she'd fall over something, I thought, oh no. And then she'd just get up and keep going like the ever ready battery. Yeah, he was not that way at all. They're all different. How long do you allow a tantrum to go before addressing it? Oh, I let it go. I don't have a cutoff. Yeah, you're just standing there filing your nails. You don't walk away from them. You don't go on your phone. You don't get into a conversation. You look like you're waiting for a bus. You have to outwait that tantrum. The longest I ever heard of, the kid was about 5 or 6, and he went for, I think, 4 hours. He had thrown up, almost passed out. He was sweating. The thing is that when the parents had condoned it, and condoning it is giving it attention, then he had more of them. As we got better at this, he just stopped having them. But it gets worse before it gets better. What about back talking during a tantrum? So you ignore it. Back talking. Are you talking to them? Yeah, I don't even hear it. I'm just like this. They could be saying whatever they want. I'm looking at the birds in the trees. Yeah. What do I do when my daughter runs away from? Oh, you didn't put the age, so I can't answer that. I don't know how old she is. What mistakes did you make raising your kids? Well, I made a lot of mistakes. None of them are huge. What would I do differently? Honestly, don't have any regrets because I think mistakes are part of the journey. But I was very accountable for them. My kids, boy, if I made a mistake, they were on me. They're like, Mom, you said you were going to be there at that time. You were late or whatever. I was usually punctual, but if something like that, they were on me. So yeah, I was accountable. So I would say it's only a mistake if you're not accountable for the things you do wrong. My kids pointed it out. I was pretty consistent. The one thing my son used to complain about is I'm very repetitive with humor. I do find the same thing funny way longer than most human beings. So that got on his nerves. But yeah, overall, I don't have any regrets because we worked everything out. Like we talked about it all and everything. So yeah, no regrets. Was I perfect? No, I don't want to be perfect. I wouldn't want to be perfect. You're setting a bad example. If you set yourself up as being boring. You ever met a perfect person? Aren't they the most boring person you ever met in your whole life? It's our vulnerabilities, it's our quirks that make us likable and connect us with people. So yeah, I never wanted to be perfect. Do you step in during a tantrum if they're breaking things? Yes, I do physically restrain them if they're getting violent. Yeah, I don't look at them or talk to them. I just hold them. I might say no and hold them. They know why you're holding. At 4 years old, they know. So I just hold them and then let them go after a minute or two. If they keep trying to be violent, grab them again. So keep letting go and grabbing them again. And it's going to get ugly, but you're got to be in charge. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Well, I don't understand this. What do I do when my 4-year-old daughter runs away from me? When I tell her to go to her room, why are you telling her to go to her? I don't understand that. I don't know what's going on there. Like if she has to go and go, what do you mean she doesn't go to her room? I don't know what you mean. Are you trying to put her in timeout? I hate timeout. I don't know. I don't know what you mean by that. Why does she need to go to her room? Why are you telling her to go to her room? Someone said they can't hear me. Can everyone else hear me? Okay. Okay, if an 8-year-old is trying to hit you and throw things, would you restrain? Okay, not necessarily. As they get bigger, you don't restrain them anymore. Unless they're hurting themselves or hurting someone else. But if they're just hurting property, I wouldn't restrain a bigger kid. But you want to get that boot camp course. I would look into it. You don't want that stuff happening. So yeah, look at the boot camp course. It sets you up as a leader and they just don't do stuff like that. So it's hard work. It starts off slow. I paced it all out over 5 weeks. How do I stop the struggle of getting ready in the morning for school? Okay, we're kind of finished with school, unless you're in Australia or something. He's 5 years. Okay, so put down on the behavior board, follow school morning routine, and put down, you have to do this and that and that, and you have to be all ready by such and such time. And then I like to use, you don't even have to put that on the behavior board, by the way. There's 2 different ways of doing it. The way I would start doing it is you don't use the behavior board, actually. Let's scratch that for now. You can put it on the behavior board. If he's not done that, then there can be a consequence. The way I like to do it is if you're ready by 8:15, the time he needs to be ready, then he can watch or play a video game for 10 minutes. Put a time limit on that because you don't want them getting up at 5 in the morning, being all ready, and then spending 3 hours doing video games. So say you can play it's an incentive-based program with this one. So you say, okay, so here's the school morning routine. If you're ready by 8:15, bag by the front door, everything, you can play video games or watch TV or whatever for 10 minutes. Have it. But if not, then no TV. So if he's ready even 1 minute later, there's no TV. So you have to have a cutoff time. That's the incentive-based one. If that's not doable, then say if you're not ready by 8:15, there'll be a consequence when you come home, okay, after school. How do you handle bedtime routine for a 2.5-year-old who was sleeping so well before? Check out my bedtime battles course. It's a whole system. It's in 2 parts, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. Getting them in bed is easy. Keeping them there is the hard part. It's usually one night of hell. Although, was it a client or someone said they bought the bedtime course and it's night 3? There's something else going on. They're still going through. They've got a little one who's waking up every hour. Something else is going on there. I don't know what it is. I'd have to look into that. Like they'd have to hire me for that. But yeah, generally it's 1 night of hell, maybe 2 or 3. But generally it is petering out. It's getting better. But it's called Bedtime Battles. It's in the link above, and it's a whole system. Oh, you can hear me. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, how do I stop a 7-year-old pretending to hit? Acts like he's going to hit, then doesn't. Says he is just joking when asked why he's doing it. I'd say, I'll tell you what, if you do the pretend hits, I'll treat it like a hit. Just say it like that. You got to set down the law here, right? Say, put it on the behavior board. If you do a pullback or pretend you're going to hit, then we'll call it a hit. Okay? Then he might try and get sneaky with it. I'd call that a hit. No, it's not fair. I said, I'm making that call. I'm calling it a hit. So you got to get real firm with this sort of stuff. He's trying to manipulate you. Can you tell us the outline of your boot camp program? Whew, geez, I don't even know it. Well, the first 3 weeks are behavior boards. So week 1, it's a behavior board. Week 2, it's another behavior board. Week 3, it's another behavior board. By week 4, we get away from the behavior boards and we go into in-the-moment discipline. And then week 5, we wrap everything up. But the way it generally goes is as you're going along, I throw in a whole bunch of other information that you might not need now, you might need later, but I'm just always throwing in additional tips in there. And then also a whole bunch of stuff that trips people up because, the Q&A is like, what if this happens? What if that happens? I throw in examples. I'm trying to hit most things that could happen because I've been teaching now, coaching for 17 years. I've seen a lot. So I've tried to include everything I think you'll come up against, right? But generally, I'm just going to look at it here. Yeah, it's 3 to 12 years old. Plus, I only did this once, but I did a group coaching session for 6 weeks with these people that went through it. And they could just join in every Saturday. We did a group coaching session. It was just fantastic. All those sessions are included in the course. So you'll see other parents going through the course and what they went through. But yeah, I've heard good things. People are getting good results from it. I'm just looking at it here. Yeah. But I threw in a whole bunch of other stuff. Like one of them was homework. How do you deal with homework? How do you deal with online safety? Here's an example. What do you do if a 3-year-old takes off a seatbelt in traffic? Just stuff like that. Yeah, I just threw in a whole bunch of stuff I hear over and over and over again. I threw in stuff that parents tell me repeatedly. So yeah. Any favorite activities to do with a 1-year-old and 3-year-old? We have the best days playing, but would love some new ideas. Okay. I would play balloon tennis and use the 1-year-old as a racket. So like the 3-year-old, you're playing balloon tennis over the coffee table, but use the 1-year-old as the racket. So you're hitting the balloon back with that. I've done that with kids. They think that's a riot. Just one, I got a million ideas. I can't tell you a lot of them because they're just crazy. Some of the stuff I did with my kids, oh, it's crazy. Okay. What do you do when a behavior board continues even after receiving 2 consequences? I don't understand what you mean by that. Okay. One thing I'm going to throw in here, just because It's important for children to learn this, but I think a lot of adults can learn this. It's a bit of a pet peeve of mine. I think the word sorry is overused. And I'll give you a really good example of this. And I think it's important to teach your children how to apologize effectively. It's all about how you treat people with respect, okay, when you're apologizing. Anyway, years ago, I had my little dog and I was going to cross the street, but this car just came out of the alley and he turned right onto the road. Last minute, he put his car in reverse, decided to back up into the alley again, fast, like he just took off. He changed his mind, didn't even look. He just backed up. He almost ran over me and my little dog. I was terrified, like it scared the bejeebies out of me. So his wife saw me first. She rolled down the window and he yells out, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And I said, "You almost killed me, my dog." And he said to me, "I said I was sorry." Like that one word. And I said, "Look, you almost killed my dog and ran us both over. I'm allowed to vent and be upset right now." Right? Because the word sorry, I said, "I was sorry. You're not very forgiving." That kind of attitude. I hate that. And as soon as I said that, "I'm allowed to vent after what you just did to me." And he literally went like this. "You're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead." And he took it. I don't really have a temper, but I did. I told him, I said, "That was real. I saw you. You didn't even look or anything. You just backed right back up." So anyway, and he says, "I've learned." He says, "I won't be doing that again." Anyway, that's an example of how the word sorry is so overused. "I murdered your whole family. I said I was sorry. You're not very forgiving." I just hate that word. It gets on my nerves. Anyway, so here's an effective apology. It's in 4 steps, and you teach this to your children too. When they do something, they're running late or whatever it is. So you teach your children by example. You show them this and you say, you start with the word sorry. I don't really care about it. It just gets the ball rolling. You say sorry. Step number 2 is you take full accountability. You say, "Sorry, it was all my fault." Not, "You should have looked out for you. You should have done this. And, if you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have yelled. So take full responsibility and accountability for what you did. 3, make amends. Say, "What can I do to make it up to you?" Like that guy could have said, here's a Starbucks card or something. He could have made amends too, right? So although he let me go off on him, so that was it. But anyway, so number 3 is make amends. What can I do to make it up to you? And offer something. Say, "Hey, how about I go and buy you a donut or something?" Number 4 is don't keep doing the same thing over and over again, because that whole apology meant nothing. So teach this to your children. Teach this to your spouse, your friends, how to apologize effectively. Say, "I'm sorry. It was all my fault. What can I do to make it up to you?" And then it won't happen again. Okay. How do you develop a behavior board when a 4-year-old can't read? How do you make one? Use pictures and explain what it is. Like if your rule is no yelling, put parents like this yelling and then put a big X through it. So yeah, draw pictures. Oh, shoot. What time is it? Okay. Got a couple more minutes. Oh, I see. When a child received the final consequence on the behavior board, yeah, this comes up all the time. So let's say they broke the rule, and then there are 2 consequences for each rule. The first one is a positive action. If they won't do that, like a chore, then you resort to the negative deprivation, which is something like 24-hour media blackout. So you take something away, because you can't always get them to do something, but you can always take something away. So you've done 24-hour media blackout, and they keep committing the same crime during that 24 hours. I would say something like this once, maybe twice. I would say, "That's why you've got 24-hour media blackout. They are in the process of already being punished. You can't top it." So eventually that might happen 2 or 3 times over a period of a week or so, but eventually they'll learn. So they won't keep doing that. It kind of gives them a free rein to keep acting out in that 24 hour. That's okay. They're still got 24-hour media blackout, so they're still learning, right? Anyway, okay, so I got to move on to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I'm really busy right now. Yep, there's a wait list for coaching, but you can look into it and sign up. Sometimes I take people on right away because I like to mix up the ages, right, of all the clients I have. Anyway, thanks so much. I'm heading over to TikTok, and I'm on YouTube the whole time I'm doing my lives. Happy parenting. TikTok starts with ads now for some reason. Okay. Okay, I'm just waiting for people to turn up. You can have a drink of water. I'm still got at the tail end of that cold. But this morning at the gym, I got one of those coughs where you know it's going to turn into an inside-out sounding cough where you're gagging. So I was at the gym and I went running to the bathroom to do this inside-out gagging cough. And I'm sure they thought I was going to throw up or something. And anyway, I did the inside-out gagging cough right in the bathroom. And then I just walk out like nothing happened. They were all so confused. They thought, I thought you went to throw up. But oh, God, I hate being sick. I'm so sick of being sick. I'm in week 4 now. It's pretty much over, though. Did you know not everyone gets that gagging cough with colds? I didn't know that. About 50% of the population gets them, 50% don't. I get them. They're that when you turn inside out, your eyes are watering. It's ugly. I'm just making dumb conversation, waiting for people to turn up. Okay. It was weird today on Facebook when I did my live. Facebook didn't announce it. So I only got like 25 people. They just came across it. But usually Facebook, it's the first time Facebook didn't announce my live. So that was weird. Don't know why. No idea. Okay, so you can start asking questions anytime you want. We'll get going. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I'm really busy, so there is a wait list for coaching, but sometimes I'll take someone on right when they sign up because I like to mix up the ages, to keep it interesting. Like if I have 7 sessions in one day and they're all teenage ones, that's a big day for me because I have to really put my thinking cap on with a lot of teenage stuff. It's my favorite age, but it takes a lot more energy. So I don't like to have 7 sessions in one day of all teenagers. I like to mix up the ages. Okay. Hi, 3-year-old. Oh, you just came over from Instagram. 3-year-old influenced by 4-year-old cousin with very bad behavior, attitude, and hitting. How do I fix this? That's a tricky one because that's family, right? So that's kind of tricky because it's family. What I was going to say was I never saw people who had kids who were hitting in that. So I just eliminated them from my life. But if it's family, you can't do that. Yeah, I kind of have a lot of questions around that one. Yeah, what about the parents? Do they not take control of their kid? Anyway, generally, your child's only 3. By about 3.5 to 4 years old, they carry your leadership umbrella everywhere they go. What I mean by that is they like themselves and they have high self-esteem as a result of your leadership. It really kicks in at 3.5 to 4 years old. So they're not influenced by anybody else anyway. So he's still 3, really impressionable at 3, but in a few months, he won't be. He'll be under your leadership umbrella and he just won't be influenced by that. If you're not a leader for your children, they're very susceptible to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. But yeah, once you're a leader, they're not influenced by anyone but you. They look up to you like you're like a mentor. They just look to you for all answers. They tell you everything. So yeah, he's still really little. It'll just take a bit of time, but it's family. There's not much I can tell you about that. I've actually dumped friends just because their kids were so rotten to my kids. I wouldn't put up with that. And if they were friends that I didn't see outside of the kids, I dumped them. But if they were friends that I sometimes saw with kids, sometimes saw alone, I just see them without their kids. I remember once she wasn't a good friend at all and wasn't a friend at all after this. Her kids kept attacking my kids, my son, I think it was. And she said to me, instead of fixing her kid, she goes, you got to teach your kid to fight back. Yeah, I never saw her after that. You got to teach your kid to fight back. Oh, yeah. I wonder how they're doing. Wonder if her kids are in prison by now. Anyway. Yeah, the exact reason why I'm struggling with it. Parents are not watching as often as yeah, you're just going to have to be there as much as possible. Just be in the mix as much as possible. And I never tell parents how to parent, like in my personal life, right? If they're not looking after their kids, you're not going to change people, right? They have to look, if they want to be changed, they'll hire me or do something else, but you can't tell someone else how to parent. I never did in my personal life and I never would. You just have to supervise your kid. I might make it a little bit obvious. Oh, I'm just here protecting my kid. I might say something like that if it's family and you got to be around them. I don't want my kid getting hit. Okay. How to effectively manage and respond to a 2-year-old's biting behavior. I have a course on that if you're interested. It's one of my mini courses. It was funny because just the other day, someone said, well, you didn't even go into that. And I don't know what they were looking at, but there was a whole section on that exact scene. Anyway, I sent them the section again. They'd already bought the course. It was funny. But anyway, I have a whole course on toddlers who hit. And it goes in great detail about what you do. I always put lots of examples in there. What if they hit here? What if they hit there? What, blah, blah, blah. So you might want to check. It's called Toddlers Hitting and Biting, 1 and 2-year-olds. 3 and over, you put no hitting on the behavior board. But 1 and 2-year-olds, there's specific things you do. Ooh. I think my most popular course is the tantrum one. Anyway, of the mini ones. My mom sends me your videos. Love them. That's so cute. How do you deal with other people? Kids keep hurting yours. Cousins. Yeah, I would just be there all the time. I would just make sure my kids are with me. I would protect my kids physically. Yeah. I would just be there. I wouldn't be socializing with the family. The kids will all get older and it'll all be worked out eventually. But in the meantime, I'd be sitting there protecting my kids. Yeah. We never had any of that. I was lucky. We were kind of isolated. We didn't have any family around where our kids were raised. But then when we were around family, they all seemed to be older and they were all nice kids. We never had any rough kids or anything. But I did have some friends who had some rough kids. I just didn't see them. What to do with a 2-year-old who hits in the face when having a tantrum? Themselves or you? I don't know what you mean. Are you friends with your adult children today? Well, yeah. Yeah. They're 34 and 29. And my daughter is my business partner. She does all the videos, all the marketing, all the newsletters, all the business planning. If I think of something, I ask her. Yeah. So, yeah. And my son is a daddy now. Oh, it was so funny. We were over there last weekend and he's got a 5-month-old and he's throwing her around, like flipping her around, and she's loving it. He would have screeched if we did something like that. He was such a rose petal. But yeah, she's just loving, spinning her around and flopping her everywhere. And I'm like, anyway, I don't say anything, but yeah, I have to react though. Anyway, I said, has he ever dropped her? And not yet. So yeah, but she's loving it. So she's going to be I think she's going to be athletic, actually. She has no fear. Yeah, they are. I've just got one grandchild. She's 5 months old now. Cute as a button. Do you still feel like their parent or more of a friend now? I always was friends with my kids, always. But I was always mom before I'm anything. Oh, I still am. Of course, I never told my kids what to do or anything. I was a leader. I wasn't a bossy authority. I was very much a leader. But yeah, I'm still mom before I'm anything, for sure. Like the other day, my daughter and I, we see each other every morning. We talk about business, right? Because she works with me. So we were crossing the street and a car was coming. I thought she was going to go and I threw my arm out in front of her. And she goes, Mom, I'm 29 years old. I don't need that. And I never apologize. I'm still mom before I'm anything. So yeah, I'll always be mom before I'm anything else. Of course. Okay. How do I leave my 8-year-old? He's so close to me without feeling bad. So leave him. You mean permanently or just at school? You don't want your children to be ultra dependent upon you. You want to be a leader. You want them to be strong and confident and be able to go off and develop their own lives too, right? Dependence does not equal love. So yeah, don't equate. A lot of moms like that. They like the fact that they keep their kids real close because they need them. That's not love. That's dependence. It's feeding a need in you. I'm not saying you're like that, but it is really common for moms to do that. But yeah, you want him to be independent. Yeah, encourage that. Say he'll be all right. Okay, go off and do that. Oh, I'm still healthy enough to have children at 46, but I'm in a difficult marriage. Should I try? Oh, I would not be able to answer that. How would I know that? I'm not a psychic. I don't have a clue what you should do. Only you can answer that. It's like I I specialize in teenagers, and when they get pregnant, they want my advice. Like, should I keep it, terminate, adopt it out, all that? And I say, I would never in a million years make that decision for you, not in a million years. And yeah, those are big decisions that only you can make. I wouldn't have an opinion on it, literally. Oh, I was just panicking. I thought I was late for something else, but TikTok's my last stop because I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, and I'm on YouTube the whole time I'm doing these lives. That's where all my lives are saved. I'm going to read this out loud just because it's funny. My 2-year-old keeps humping the floor when tired. Kids are so socially inappropriate. I can tell you stories. Yeah. No, you don't want to say that's bad or anything. You just kind of maybe redirect that. That's not bad. It's all normal, healthy stuff, right? But yeah. Okay. Do you have leadership courses? I just have one big course, and that's my boot camp course. It goes from 3 to 12 years old. And it's all about you and your leadership. I don't teach kidding or teenagering or anything. I teach parenting. You want to be a leader for your children. The way I look at that is if you look at the very first video on TikTok here, it's called Example of Leadership Parenting, and it's the pool story. And it exemplifies exactly how I look at leadership. I deal with bad behavior, then I focus on the good kid. Okay, where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. If you put all your energy into focus into the bad behavior, and you talk about it too much, like the lecturing and all that, they're going to keep doing it. It's going to become part of their identity. You want their identity to be, hey, I'm a good kid. So that's where you put all your focus and all your energy. I used to work with troubled teens, and so I used a lot of humor. And if they were being really difficult and I was getting to know them, they already knew I had a sense of humor, so I could get away with stuff. But anyway, I remember I used to say to them, look, I got to find something to like, but I can't. You're quite repugnant. And they would laugh. And then I think, oh, you got a sense of humor. I can work with that. There you go. There's something to like. So yeah, you got to find something to enjoy about your kids. You got to find something to use to connect with kids. Okay. What's your opinion on screen time? I don't have an opinion on that necessarily, but I've got 3 different ways to manage it. This is when they're about 4 or 5, they can start to understand this. So this, or you can manage it before that. But anyway, there's 3 different ways. 2 of them I'm not big on. They're more for little ones. The one where you have a certain allotted time every single day. So it can be either a certain time of the day that they can have screen time, or an amount of time they can have every day. That's up to you to manage. I don't really like that when they get to be about 4 or 5. You want them to manage their own time. And it might go something like this. You've got so many hours per week. You decide what that is. It could be hours per age. Like it could be 8 hours a week for 8-year-olds, whatever. You decide. I don't have an opinion on that. And you say, now you manage when you do that. So you've got 8 hours a week. You decide when that is. And you keep track of all the minutes. Okay. And then, and what'll happen is if you're not a leader at all and they're used to manipulating you, they'll binge it and they'll use it all up by Wednesday, knowing full well you don't want to go through hell with them having no screen time for the whole 4 days, but you got to go through it. So they binge watch all their hours and they use them all up by Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they've got no screen time at all, and you're going to go through hell. You got to go through hell. You think they're going to do that again? No. Also, you don't include family movie night. And if they're going to have a friend over and they've already used up all their hours and they want to play a video game, let them do that, because I wouldn't punish the friend, right? So, but then you take that away from the next week. So, yelling no when someone says hi, age 2, just ignore it. Do you have an opinion on public childcare? I want to stay home longer, but I can't. Well, then you don't have a choice. And I think lots of daycares are great. And it's like anything else. There's no right and wrong way to do all this stuff. If you've got to go back to work, then you go back to work and put your kids in daycare. And you got to do that. Just try and find a good one. Most daycares are good, I would think, because no one's going to go into that, I would think, just to make money. I think they have to like kids and have some talent with them, right? So I would assume most people running a daycare center must know what they're doing. Who on earth would do that if they didn't know what they were doing? Makes no sense at all to me. So I'm assuming they're all quite good. Children do quite well in daycare. They're usually pretty good at social skills too, because they develop them earlier if they have to go into daycare early. They just learn how to survive in that environment with a bunch of kids. Yeah. Do you have any regrets about having kids or things that came up as a surprise? No, nothing. It was, I loved it. It was the most fun I ever had was having kids. I always knew I had to be a mom, though. I just knew from the time I was little, I was meant to mother. Um, do I have any regrets? No. I mean, I kind of regretted only having 2 kids. I kind of wished I'd had more, but not really even that. They're 2 great kids. And I always said I just wanted girls for some reason. I just always saw myself as a girl mom. And then my son was my firstborn. And I remember saying when he came out, first thing I said was, "Hi, sweetie." And then I said, I was so convinced I was having girls. And then I said out loud, "Oh, my daughter has testicles." I just saw myself as a girl mom, and I wouldn't trade him for the world. Of course, I thought he was just the best thing. And but yeah, I always felt kind of that it was lucky I got one of each, a boy and a girl. So yeah, no, I have no regrets. I loved it. It was the most fun time my whole life was raising those 2 gorgeous children. I loved it, and they know that. Believe me. I said to my daughter the other day, "Were you guys aware how wallowed in you were?" And she goes, "Oh yes." I wallowed in mothering. I loved it. It was fun. We just had laughed all the time. It was fun because I got all that pesky discipline all sorted out. I got my leadership cemented, and they were nice kids, so it was easy. But I worked for that, though. You got to earn that. How to stop a 3.5-year-old from getting into everything. We lock things away, but she finds everything. How can she find things if they're locked away? I don't understand that. So she's outsmarting you. You got to outsmart her. She's only 3.5. And she is old enough to be on that behavior board. You could say, "Don't get into the cupboard or there'll be a consequence." We all learn through consequences, adults included. If we don't pay our mortgage, we get foreclosed on. If we speed, we might get a ticket. It's consequences that teach us all how to do the right thing. We all learn. So teach your kids how to have consequences, how to think before they act. I'm trying to learn this leadership. Boy, is it rough for me. I wasn't taught anything but yelling. Yeah, you don't have to repeat what your parents did, and all parents do the best that they know how. They don't do the best they can necessarily, but they do the best that they know how. Like no parents handed a baby in the hospital and says, "I'm gonna mess you up." Like they all do the best they know how, but you can break cycles. I just break the cycle. Say, "Well, I'm going to do better than my parents did. I'm going to know how better." Right? You don't have to. You don't have to do what they did. My mom, she was very much a leader, but she didn't lead as often as she should have. My parents let me get away with a lot, and I know they shouldn't have. Even as a kid, I knew they shouldn't, but I wasn't parenting myself; they were parenting me. But my mom was the leader. I didn't like to disappoint my mom. If my mom ever looked at me like this, oh, I hated it. She just didn't do it often enough. But yeah, she was the leader. My dad was the pleaser. Is there amount of kids to become too many to give enough attention? Have 2 and want 3. Some kids are really demanding, even if they've just got one, like there's one of them. So they're all different. And oftentimes they entertain each other. So, and you can have a lot of fun with a bunch of kids. So there is no set number, right? There's no perfect number of kids. How do you become a leader without screaming or for them to listen? Well, just just keep watching. I mean, I never yelled. My parents never yelled. You only yell because you don't know what else to do, and it works in the short term, but it backfires big time down the road. Yellers raise yellers, and it builds resentment. Anyway, check out the behavior board. It's a really good place to start, and it's completely free. If you want to go to the next level, get the boot camp course that starts at the age of 3 and goes to 12. With teenage stuff, all I have is coaching right now, but I'm busy, so you have to get into a wait list for coaching. Anyway, so yeah, check out the boot camp course. It might be for you, but the behavior board's completely free. And it's all in the link above. Everything I've got in the link above. Be careful with that too. This is me. Like obviously I'm doing a live, so this is me, but there's a bunch of people out there pretending to be me and taking people's money. So yeah, this is me. Follow that link and that is all my stuff. But yeah, people are using my videos, my name, everything, and they're pretending to be me and they're stealing money from people. It's too bad. but I can't, they're everywhere. And as soon as one gets closed down, usually my clients will report them, right, on the social media platform they found them on. And then they just open up in another account. So you can't stop all this scamming. You just have to make sure that you follow the link that, in my account. I've heard, let children make as many mistakes as they can while they're young so they understand consequences. Well, I would never have said that. I don't get that. Where did you learn all the things you know about discipline and stuff? I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. I remember it. I was in grade 6. And I also started babysitting the next door kids. And I was 11. I was just mothering always. And even the daycare ladies at that daycare center, they asked me how I did it. They said, how do you do that? The kids think you're fun, but they listen to you at the same time. I didn't know how to explain that. I just understand kids. I just always kind of did. Of course, I'm 63 now. I've got better at it. But yeah, I just taught. I was self-taught. Then I volunteered in hospitals, hospices, lots of schools, detention centers, psych wards. I've dealt with all sorts of disabilities and behavioral issues, delinquent teenagers. I just always wanted to learn what made kids tick and how to connect to them and how to get the best out of them, how to make them feel good about themselves. One of the best compliments I ever got was from a troubled teen I worked with. And he told me, he says, I didn't like myself until I met you. And that's the way I look at leadership. I want them to like themselves when they're with me so they respect me, right? That's like a mentor. I look at it like a mentorship. You don't want them to feel bad about themselves. You want them to feel good about themselves. There's no blaming and shaming with all this stuff. It's more just, hey, you did something stupid. Here's the consequence. Now, do you want to go to the park? It's like that. We all do dumb things, right? Yeah, it's the connection. It's the connection. You want them to be able, you want to be a safe place to land. You want them to be able to tell you anything with no judgment. Absolutely. I told my mom everything. She didn't want to hear it, but I told her everything. My kids told me everything. Yeah. I was a safe place to land. My mom was a safe place to land. Oops. Okay. I got to get going. I can tell my voice is going. I'm still at the tail end of this cold. I've been at the tail end of it for 2 weeks. Anyway, coming out of it because I coach all day and then I do this. So my voice, you get the tail end of my voice. Okay, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. You have to sign up for coaching and there's a bit of a wait list. So, because I'm busy. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again maybe tomorrow sometime. I don't know. Anyway, happy parenting. Bye now.